And it's Scissors and Scrubs again. Welcome back. I believe we are an hour ahead now, and the sun will be out later.
Oh, thank God.
Yay. So we got a bunch of different stories together of just things that have been in the news.
Yeah.
Some crazy shit that's been in the news. In fact, I wrote this episode, and then I heard about another one afterwards. So I'm going to read you that one straight from my phone. But we're going to talk about like nurse attacks, doctor attacks, hyperbaric explosions, MRI, the MRI room, the fucking MRI room.
The bane of my
We're going to go off on the MRI room.
We'll leave that to the end.
Oh, you can start with that.
All right. So I got this from the Detroit Free Press. This is about a hyperbaric chamber incident.
Ugh, those things scare the shit out of me.
Yeah. So we did go over them before, but I'll just go over it real quick what it is. A hyperbaric oxygen therapy is a medical treatment that involves breathing pure oxygen in a pressurized chamber. The increased pressure allows the lungs to take in more oxygen than they would at normal air pressure. This then increases the amount of oxygen in the blood and can improve the delivery of oxygen to tissues throughout the body. It's used to treat a ton of different medical conditions, including carbon monoxide poisoning, decompression sickness if you dive,
the bends,
wound healing, and it's also being explored as a potential treatment for neurological conditions such as stroke, traumatic brain injury, multiple sclerosis, and other neurological conditions. So you're in a chamber that's pressurized, and it has pure oxygen being pumped into it.
And what do we know about pure oxygen?
That likes to fuel a fire.
It's highly flammable.
Anyways, that was what hyperbaric therapy is for. It's very useful. It is. It serves a very.
Did you say they used it for burns? Do they use it for burns?
Non-healing wounds. So yeah, burns and stuff like that. Because it helps the extra oxygen and the pressure helps like create new blood vessels, new pathways to get oxygenated blood through your body, so it can help heal the wounds. Anyways, all right. So Thomas Cooper is described as the smartest and cutest 5-year-old that loved life, running, swimming, Minecraft, Nintendo DS, and zooming.
I don't like how the story started, Laura.
He wanted to try mountain BMX racing and karate this upcoming summer. He was interested in germs, how things worked, and liked to make field journals when exploring outside.
Oh, that's adorable.
I know. And he was extremely fascinated by nature. On January 31st, Thomas planned to play Nintendo DS with his dad, which he had gotten for trying new foods. His father got him a Nintendo DS. And to spend his red pocket money, which red pocket money is a gift given during Chinese New Year representing good luck.
Yeah, my sister-in-law gives that to my kids.
He was planning to spend that day with his little brother. But before he could do that, he was going to Troy Medical Center's Oxford Center for hyperbaric therapy for ADHD.
I've never heard of that.
I know. Me neither. I looked it up. I'll talk about it.
Never heard of it.
The Oxford Center provided therapy for children with autism, cancer, ADHD, and autoimmune disease. At 8 a.m., an explosion occurred in a hyperbaric chamber at the Oxford Center. Thomas was killed in the explosion, and his mother was injured because she was like in the room, not in the chamber.
I'd rather be dead.
Yep. They had not discovered the cause of the explosion yet, but stated that the concentrated oxygen, which is just pumped into the high pressure chamber, is fuel for fire, so things can easly spark a fire in this chamber. I remember a few years ago, a little kid, I think we talked about it on the last episode we did the hyperbaric on, had like a little toy car in his pocket and didn't know, and it caused a fire in the chamber. Like anything that can cause any sort of spark, they have to wear certain clothes because, when you get like static electricity, that can cause a spark. So they weren't sure what caused it yet, but this poor little boy died in the hyperbaric chamber.
It totally stresses me out.
So I looked up, why do we use hyperbaric therapy for ADHD? I've never heard of this. So
rabbit holes.
Yeah. So again, you breathe this pure oxygen in a pressurized room, and it has been now shown to show promise in managing the symptoms of ADD, ADHD. ADD or ADHD is thought to be caused by a variety of factors, including genetics and environmental influences. Research has suggested that oxygen deprivation may also play a role in the development and the severity of ADHD. So the hyperbaric therapy works by increasing the amount of oxygen that is delivered to the brain and body, and by breathing in the pure oxygen in a pressurized environment, the body is able to absorb more oxygen, than it would in a normal environment, and this can help improve brain function and reduce the hyperactivity and impulsivity in children with ADHD. It has also been shown to stimulate the growth of new blood vessels and improve circulation. This may help promote healing and reduce inflammation in the brain, which could also contribute to improvements in the ADHD symptoms. Hyperbaric therapy is generally considered safe when performed by a highly trained professional. However, there are some potential risks associated with this therapy, including ear pain, lung damage, seizures, and, of course, fires. Parents should discuss the potential risks and benefits of the hyperbaric therapy with their child's healthcare provider before even considering this. Also, you need to choose a reputable hyperbaric therapist.
Oh, yeah. Because I think one of the ones in the last episode, it was not a reputable.
No, it was just someone thrown in a... Yeah. And make sure they're carefully following all safety guidelines and protocols during the therapy sessions. Look it up before you go to this kind of thing. What can I wear? What can I not wear? Do I have
Horrible
this
way to
on?
go.
You can't forget that you have something in your pocket. Like, it's a serious... When you're in there, it's not a problem. It's not going to cause any damage to you. But if you violate any of the safety protocols, it is a huge problem and can cause death.
Death happen.
So by increasing the oxygen levels in the body, the therapy can improve cognitive function, reduce hyperactivity, enhance focus in children with ADHD.
That's crazy.
Yep. The benefits: it improves the attention span. They can concentrate for longer periods of time after. It reduces hyperactivity. It helps calm the nervous system, which reduces the symptoms of hyperactivity and restlessness.
I wonder how they figured that out.
I know, like, who did that first? It enhances the mood and behavior. It reduces irritability. It promotes, so when you're less irritable, that promotes more positive behavior, which helps them remain more calm. Like, it's a whole. And then it can also reduce medication dependence. In one study, children who received hyperbaric oxygen therapy showed significant improvement in attention, impulsivity, and conduct compared to a control group. And in another study, they found that hyperbaric oxygen therapy improved overall behavior and quality of life in children with ADD, ADHD, which I thought was
It's crazy. I've never heard that.
No. When they said they put him in for ADHD, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I had to look it up.
I wonder if that's permanent, like if they would get permanent.
I mean, I think
pathways.
it permanently causes new pathways, so I don't know.
I've never heard that. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully that would be great if it worked.
Oh,
But just make sure you're following all safety protocols. You
it's
go over them
terrifying.
yourself.
Of all ways to lose a kid.
Oh
like,
my
that's
God,
the
it's
way.
awful. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yep. Anyways, that was the hyperbaric explosion that just happened.
And are you going to do the MRI?
You want me to do them now?
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're grouping.
So we've talked about MRIs before.
MRI, to me, is one of the most dangerous rooms in the OR.
100%.
Or in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I find that there's a lot of complacency happening around
Well, we've
that
used
room.
them for like, what, years and years and years, and everyone gets an MRI. Literally everybody and their mother has an MRI. So it's just like this, like, it's like getting an X-ray where you're not worrying about it. But again, the machine, it's not going to harm you if it's just your human tissue.
Right. But when you're like in the OR, we have protocols for a reason. Mm-hmm. And some of these protocols don't always get followed.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the people who are trying to follow them don't know why they're following them. So they don't understand that there's a reason we're doing so that somebody doesn't get an instrument through the head while the magnet pulls up because you didn't know it was missing.
Right.
So I get very frustrated with this room because I think it's much more dangerous than people act.
Yes. And I mean, even just the MRIs in any building, they're dangerous.
Yeah.
You think you're just
We've
complacent.
everybody seen the watermelon
No,
video.
we have, but other people
I mean,
haven't. That's so one of the stories in here is I think why we see the watermelon video. So we have to do a training every year that's MRI safety, and it shows an oxygen tank flying to the machine, hitting a watermelon that's in it, which is supposed to represent your head,
and exploding,
and literally exploding it everywhere.
Yeah.
And that is what will happen if an oxygen tank is introduced into that.
I mean, this magnet's so powerful that they used to have. I don't see them around much anymore, but even what they used to have them, the carts, the big Craftsman's carts. I remember down one of the anesthesia techs sent us a picture. It was the entire Craftsman metal cart stuck to the magnet.
Anything metal in that room is going to become
stretchers,
a missile.
IV poles.
Yeah,
I mean it's crazy, and these big things are just stuck, and you have to shut the
you're-
whole magnet down,
right?
Which is another issue.
And if you're in the way of it,
It's going to kill you.
So I got these MRI mishaps from the Daily Record UK.
Oh, the Daily Record. Reputable.
Very reputable. source.
Reputable.
But I did look up these stories. Like,
Was it right after the aliens have abducted my
Yeah.
baby stories?
I did look up like these
Yeah, to
stories,
make
and
sure
they
they were
were
true.
on other things. All right. So, like we were saying, MRI is a big magnet that is harmless to human tissue, but the force of the magnet can pull objects containing ferrous metals towards the magnet up to 40 miles an hour.
Doesn't it make you wonder how the fuck does the magnet take a picture?
I don't understand it.
I don't understand how the MRI
I
works.
probably should understand it, but
I've seen it spin, but
It
how does that
spins.
create
I
a
don't know.
picture of your body?
I
don't
know.
understand.
We should probably look into that.
I'll never understand the explanation. I can
No.
tell you that now.
I don't understand X-rays. To
And
be
again,
honest, but
who thought of that?
right. Let me spin a
Let me
magnet
spin
around you and
magnets.
take a
That'll
picture.
show us.
So extreme caution must be taken to make sure that no metals enter the MRI environment. If they do, serious harm and death can occur. Here are several accidents that have occurred in MRI suites. A 22-year-old woman was having an MRI. Apparently, the MRI safety questionnaire did not ask about butt plugs
Oh, Jesus, Laura.
because she had one inserted in her rectum.
Didn't just walking around with the butt plug in?
Yes. During the MRI, the butt plug was pulled through her body into her chest cavity from her rectum.
Oh.
So that is from your bottomest hole up through into your chest.
So now when you're filling out your questionnaire and you want to know about, if they ask you if there's a butt plug in, now you know why.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
She thought, the thing is, she thought it was, because it looks like it's silicone, right? Like
Yes, but why are you walking around with a fucking butt
I don't know.
plug?
People do this. I don't know. But she thought it was all silicone, so didn't even think to mention there was a little piece of metal in it. So that took it. Like, she didn't know there was metal
I
in
think
the
I
inside.
would just remove it anyway.
To be careful. Just remove everything.
Just to be on the. Why are you walking around with a butt plug?
So when the tech removes her, the tech comes in and like slides the bed out from the MRI machine, she's screaming in pain.
She's still alive.
Yeah. She's complaining of nausea and feeling like she was going to pass out. She was sent to a hospital via ambulance with major injuries. It does not say. I looked up several articles.
I can only imagine.
I'm assuming her colon is
It's obliterated.
And probably her diaphragm.
Yeah.
But
She's like, it didn't kill her. Could have lodged in her heart.
Yep.
Death
Just
by butt
bleeding
plug.
out.
Yeah.
Like all the arteries.
Oh.
Ugh.
And now all the infection because it's
Oh, yeah,
shit
stool,
all over you.
yeah.
Oh.
At Redwood Medical Center in Redwood, California, a nurse was crushed in a freak accident inside an MRI suite. A patient bed was brought into the suite,
Ooh.
and the magnetic force of the MRI caused the bed to be pulled uncontrollably into the machine. The nurse,
Was between the bed.
Ana Cervantes, was pinned between the bed and the machine and suffered crushing injuries.
Oh.
I believe she's alive, but
Oh,
she
okay.
suffered. It didn't say she died. Leandro Mateus de Novas accompanied his mother to an MRI scan at Laboratorio Cura in Sao Paulo, Brazil. He had a gun in his waistband.
Oh my God.
The MRI yanked the weapon from his waistband and caused it to go off, shooting him.
Did it kill him?
He was rushed to São Luís Marumbi Hospital, but died weeks later from the gunshot wound.
We need these at the airport.
Yeah. Leandro and his mother were asked about metal and told to remove any metal. They signed documents stating they understood the dangers and that they didn't have metal on them. And Leonardo, an attorney, an educated man,
With his gun.
entered the MRI suite with a gun anyway. He's lucky it didn't kill everybody in the room.
No shit. Oh my God. These are crazy.
In Mumbai, India, God
this
help
is
me,
gonna be good.
Rajesh Maru, 32, was visiting a relative in the hospital. He was asked by a staff member, I don't know why, to carry an oxygen cylinder into the MRI suite and was told the magnet was off.
It doesn't matter.
It was not. He was pulled towards the machine, and then the cylinder was obviously damaged because it hit the machine. Rajesh died after inhaling liquid oxygen that came out of the damaged cylinder. A doctor and staff member were arrested for negligence leading to the death of Rajesh.
Well, yeah, because why would you give it to him? No.
Yep.
Could you? I can't.
God.
I can't.
He was just visiting
Yeah,
a
you can't
relative.
hold this.
Can you bring this in there?
Yeah.
At Tala Memorial Hospital in New Delhi, India, a 28-year-old porter named Sunil Jodhav was asked to fetch an oxygen mask. He misunderstood and got an oxygen tank. and brought it into the MRI room.
Where the magnet was on.
Yep. The tank was pulled to the machine, pinning Sunil and the MRI tech Swami Ramaya against the machine for 4 hours. The tech suffered a punctured bladder and severe abdominal bleeding. Normally, the MRI would have been shut down in seconds. There's an emergent
Quelch
purge.
button?
Yeah, quelch button, and it like purges the magnet and like it
Gets
shuts
it all
down
done
immediately. However, the machine's emergency shutoff switch failed to work.
Oh,
So they were stuck there
shit.
for 4 hours with this person with a punctured bladder for
Oh
4
my
hours against the
God.
machine. In New York,
That's insane.
Yeah. This is I believe this is why we watched the watermelon video, this story. In New York, a 6-year-old cancer patient was having a routine brain MRI, and an oxygen tank was introduced into the MRI suite for an unknown reason. The pull from the magnet made the tank a missile, which caused catastrophic head and brain injuries, and the boy died in the MRI scanner.
Yeah.
It
that is
literally
why we watch
blew
it.
his head apart. It was awful.
Could you imagine being in the room when that happened?
No.
It'd be fucking terrifying.
No.
Fucking terrifying.
That's awful.
So
Just be honest on all your things. If you're unsure, say, I don't know. This could be metal. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's in my shoulder. I don't know. Let
take
them
your
look
butt
into
plugs
it.
out just in case.
Take everything off. Take your gun out of your waistband.
Leave your gun at the door.
Yeah.
'Cause you might kill everybody
maybe
in the
say
MRI
to people
suite.
like, hey,
Hey,
you
I have
know
a
not
gun.
to
Should
bring
I
an
not
oxygen tank in here, right?
Maybe he
Hey.
didn't know where to lock up the gun. Maybe
Maybe.
he was nervous about that.
So we were supposed to record last week, but Nicole was dying of the plague. And but the morning that we were supposed to record, I brought my mother for an MRI, and I was like, "Don't ask me what we're recording tonight. Don't ask me what we're recording tonight." But she didn't. But I was like, "Cause she's never getting.
Smart
I'm never
woman.
getting her into this MRI."
Smart woman, yeah. My mother won't even. I get claustrophobic. She was getting worked up years ago for cancer. She did not have cancer, but we had to go in for the MRI. I took the night off of work. I drive her in there. She wouldn't even walk in the room, which my patience overtook me, and I promptly lost my shit on her in front of the poor secretary. It's like, we need to stage you. Like, you don't have a fucking choice. Get in the goddamn MRI. No, we had to reschedule and get her an open air MRI. Like, wouldn't even try to power through it. You think I like him? No, but I go to my happy place in there.
My mother does not like them, but she did it. But
Like, you have no.
But I
Like,
was
there's
like-
a reason we're having this done.
she asked me what I'm going to record. She's never
Well,
getting
Mom,
in it.
let me tell you about the
Well,
butt plug.
it's done now, so you can listen to the MRI story.
Well, as we were recording this as well, getting ready, we belong to one of the Facebook pages for OR nurses, and this story came up about 15 times. And I'm covering it, and as I was covering it, another story happened that morning, which is now a little late because it was a week. I was supposed to record a week ago.
Yeah.
And then yesterday I was reading a third story.
Yeah.
So that one's going to come right off my phone. Okay,
It's
so
like constant now.
it's constant now. We've talked about nurse attacks before, and it's coming more of a prominent story in headlines now. And there was a meme out there that was like, if you work at the grocery store, you get attacked, call 911. If you work at, I don't know, in your office, you get attacked, call 911. Nurses, what could you have done differently?
Yeah.
Nothing pisses me off more
know.
than whenever there's an issue, it's always, well, how could nursing have done it better?
Right.
It's
What
not always
should
nursing.
you have done differently?
Yeah.
I don't know. I walked in the room and he punched me in the face. I don't know what I should have done.
Surgeon left a specimen in the belly. How could the nurses have fixed that? I don't know. Have the surgeon be fucking responsible for himself.
Right.
Oh. Anyway. All right. So this came off of Channel 25 WPBF. News Foundations and Wellness. In February of 2025, Stephen Scantlebury, 33 years old, was being held on a Baker Act at HCA Palms West Hospital. The Baker Act is like our Section 12. Mm-hmm. It allows for the temporary detention and examination of people showing evidence of mental illness and who are in danger of harming themselves or others. This is including danger from self-neglect as well as physical harm, according to reports.
Okay.
Stephen so he gets brought to this HCA Palms West Hospital on this Baker Act. He's in a room. Now, they don't have a psych facility here at all, but he's here and he's going to be admitted. He jumps on top of his bed and then he leaps onto the nurse. The witness with them runs out of the room to get help, and when they returned, he is on top of the nurse, repeatedly punching her in the face. Oh my God. When one of the nurses yelled at him, he ran out of the room, through the hallway, down a stairwell, and into traffic. He was arrested on the highway and is reported to have been acting paranoid for the previous, pardon me, 2 days. The nurse is medevaced to a trauma hospital with nearly every bone in her face broken.
Yeah.
She will very likely lose sight in both of her eyes.
Oh, my God.
The nurse's daughter is a doctor. She rushed to her mother's side and was shocked at how bad her mother was and how did this happen. Her daughter stated, quote, "She has multiple fractures of the orbit. She has a subarachnoid and subdural bleed, broken clavicle, and bruises on both eyes and face," which if you have all those bleeds, you're going to have.
Yep.
The nurse attacked is 67 years old.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. The HCA facility Stephen was at does not include psychiatric patients and is not supposed to receive a Baker Act patient. Stephen is being held there because there were no beds at the other facilities. He is being held for second-degree murder.
That's awful. I mean, obviously he's a psych patient.
Right.
Like he wasn't,
He
didn't
was
go
on
there
it.
to kill somebody, but.
And this is why I don't do psych nursing.
Yeah, no.
Because
God,
you don't see it coming with
No.
these people. They'll just lose their shit on you.
Yep.
And then I'm watching the news like shortly after this, and they're closing 2 psych facilities in Massachusetts. We don't have enough as it is.
No.
And that's why you have people in facilities that can't handle them.
Right.
Ugh. So that morning is when, which was Saturday, February 22nd, 25, York County, Pennsylvania. I didn't have much information at the time when I wrote this, but a gunman had barricaded himself at UPMC Memorial in West Manchester Township. The nurse and another officer were killed. The gunman died from a possible gunshot wound to himself, and no patients were injured at that time, and it was thought to be involved in a domestic abuse situation. Did you know more about this story?
I thought it was.
I said this was like that morning and they had no information.
No, I thought it was because he was upset about a family member's care or something.
You probably are right.
I
haven't heard any more in that story since. So then we'll come back to that. Then I am reading a Chicago emergency room doctor is stabbed in the chest by a patient. This came out on February 17th of 2025. 2 staff members were injured by a patient in the emergency department at Providence Hospital on Monday afternoon, including an ER doctor who was stabbed in the chest. This occurred around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They know that 2 staff members were injured and both are in stable condition. One of the victims, confirmed by Fox 32 to be an ER room doctor, was stabbed in the chest and transported to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where they were listed in fair condition.
Oh, good.
According to Chicago police, the suspect approached the 56-year-old ER doctor with a sharp object and stabbed him in the chest. The offender was immediately taken into custody, and area detectives are conducting an investigation into the incident. Details about the second injured staff member include their role at the hospital, and the extent of the injuries have not been disclosed. They would not release further information out of respect for the staff members, and the motivation behind the attack is unclear. And there is a quote saying, "Violence against healthcare workers is on the rise, and it is unacceptable. No one should have to fear for their safety while doing their job. This issue transcends physical harm. It impacts the emotional and psychological well-being of our entire team, and it ultimately affects the quality of care we are able to provide. While we remain committed to providing the best care possible to our patients, we must also acknowledge that healthcare environments should be safe spaces for patients and providers." Why is it on the rise? But I think all of the violence that we're seeing in the news is related to mental health.
Yeah.
And there is no help for people with mental health. So they're coming into our ERs and our OR everywhere.
Yeah.
And these poor nurses are the front line of this, and they're not really trained. I don't care what you say. I mean, I remember my girlfriend is a floor nurse saying she walked into the room and her patient had the IV pole like a bat.
Yeah.
Swinging it around the room. Like, how do you even get near them to stop them?
Right. No,
Yeah.
you can't. You can't.
It's ridiculous. Did you get
So
more
this
detail?
says that it was still unclear on the motive, but he had contact with the ICU staff in the week leading up to it about another person's care.
Okay.
So I don't know why. And just the officer died.
Oh, thank God. Not that thank God the officer died, but not that there were more people injured.
A doctor, a nurse, and a custodian, and 2 other officers were injured, though.
Yeah, it's funny how you're not hearing much more about it.
No.
And I'm sure how could the nurses have facilitated this?
Well, they'll probably say the nurse with the gun to her head shouldn't have tied up her coworkers or something. Like, what are you going to do? You're trying to keep them calm, I assume.
Right.
Because he had them zip tie like the nurse's hands together or something. Like he held them hostage. It wasn't like he went in
no,
there.
I did know that. I did
and
know
like
that.
just shot the place up. He went in and like held them hostage, had a gun to the nurse's head, made her zip tie people. Like it's horrifying.
It's horrifying. And, you know, our units are open.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to beep people in. You can hardly see on the camera who it is. And people are always coming to our desk. So you're beeping them in, you know.
So I'm watching The Pit now, which is so good. What's it on? HBO? Yeah. It's so good. It's like ER. It has Noah Wiley. But
I never watched ER.
Oh my God. ER was my favorite.
I never watched
I think I have the DVDs if you want to borrow them. That's like the one DVD I have is ER. But it's wicked, wicked good. And it's like realistic. Russell actually, like someone we watched with, and he's like, I did start watching. He's like, it is really like real life. I'm like, I know, it's so good. And you're like, oh, they're gonna do this because they have that. Like it is. They do a good job. And on it, a nurse
gets
attacked. Like this week, a nurse just got attacked on it. So I'm like, they're definitely bringing it. It's definitely a problem, and they are
bringing light to it. I really don't know how you stop it, because you don't know when these patients are going to do that.
No. And now, remember, we talked about it before. They made it a federal offense.
Right.
So if you do attack a nurse.
But these people are mentally ill. They're not thinking that.
Right.
You know, they're thinking.
I mean, the patients that come, psych patients, but then some people just go in because they're mad that.
Because you're not giving them drugs or whatever. Yeah.
So there's definitely different circumstances, but it is, and now a definite offense if you hit a nurse. You go to jail. So.
Yeah. And hopefully they won't ask us how we could have just de-escalated the situation.
Oh, my God, please.
All right, so that's this episode in a wrap, in a nutshell. We love hearing from you. Keep sending your emails. Yes. Spring's almost here again. I know I keep talking about it, but I'm so excited.
It's like almost April.
It's almost April. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen.
It's coming.
It's going to happen. And then the vacations are coming. Oh, we were planning Spain. I'm so excited. Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Send us your ideas, your emails. We love hearing from you. And we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, rate, and review the Scissors and Scrubs podcast on whatever podcast app you listen to us on. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Scissors and Scrubs. And email us any of your stories or thoughts to scissorsandscrubs@gmail.com.